Imagine if you're sitting in the backseat of your friend's car and you're listening to loud music. You and your friends decide to stop by a gas station to get snacks. Upon arriving, your friend parks and you all sit inside the car admiring Katy Perry or whoever you normally listen to. Moments later, a man parks beside you. He has his window down and begins to bicker about the loudness of your music. Tension escalates since the music continues to stay loud. The guy parked next to you then reaches over his glove box and then continues to reach for his gun. The guy pops out his gun and begins firing rounds towards the car you are in. Your friend steps on the pedal and begins to make a getaway from the crazy maniac. The maniac shot 8 shots, hitting the car with 2 of the shots piercing through your body. You are now dead. And the man who is to blame retreats to his hotel where he spends the rest of his night with his fiancée, drinking wine and watching a movie. Now imagine if this story actually happened. Story used from NBC News, November 28, 2012. Today, I will inform you all about the necessary changes the Stand Your Ground law should make. This is important to us all because this story simply proves how someone may abuse this law and also shows how innocent people are affected when this law is misused. Today, we will explore the problems facing the Stand Your Ground law, the causes for these problems, and how we can fix these problems. Let's take a look at the problem facing this law. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate exactly how this law is misused. The story I shared with you is the case of Michael David Dunn and Jordan Davis. There were 4 people in the red Dodge Durango. They were all male teenagers around their 17 or so. The odds of someone dying from the gunshots were relatively high. According to the November 28, 2012 NBC News, nobody else in the vehicle was struck. It was just our victim, Davis, which was lucky because the vehicle was shot 8 or 9 times. To say that one person died from this incident is a relief, but it's also one too many. The victim was 17 years old, Jordan Davis. The man convicted of the crime was Michael Dunn. The morning after incident, Michael Dunn heard about the death of the teen and attempted to get away, but was caught by the police moments after. This guy sickens me since he could have easily rolled up his window and avoided any of this from happening, but the fact that he pleaded not guilty only goes to show the type of person he is. I'm no saint myself, but a man who denies his actions and believes that getting away with murder is justifiable isn't a man at all. Let's go over why this is a problem. The teenagers were not doing anything wrong. Michael Dunn was waiting for his fiancée to come back from the gas station convenience store. Could he have not waited and tolerated the music, or at least considered the fact that he could have rolled up his window? The teenagers were not armed. If Michael Dunn truly believed they were armed, why did they not fire back? And why did they sped away from him? Would lethal force be justifiable over loud music? This is a tragic case where death could have been otherwise avoidable. This is one of the many cases where a person trial for standing ground and misused the law. So we just went over why this law has problems. Now let's take a look at how these problems were triggered to begin with. Violence is never the answer. Let's take a wider in-depth analysis on this case and why Michael Dunn pleaded not guilty. Michael Dunn believed he was allowed to use force since he felt threatened by the teens. According to the June 27, 2014 Washington Post, it acknowledges that the law does in fact give someone the right to use lethal force if he or she believes that they reasonably believe that they are in a serious situation. You are in fact eligible to use lethal force. Michael Dunn believed that he saw someone in the car with a gun. Michael Dunn had a license to use a gun and used this concealed weapon to face off the teens. There are laws that give someone the right to have a concealed weapon. The Standard Ground Law gives you the ability to use lethal force. Michael Dunn did as he thought was right, but what he thought was right wasn't the case here. Now let's take a look why Michael Dunn failed to abide the law. First of all, he shot innocent teens over loud music. Second of all, under no one's interpretation is loud music considered a reasonable, humane way to use lethal force. Third, the guy continuously shot the car without having proper evidence of the teens having any guns. Fourth, he believed he was justifiable for committing self-defense, or in other words, first-degree murder, and continued living as if what he had done was somehow considered an achievement. And fifth, he attempted to escape once he heard news of his murder. So we just taking a look at how these problems occur. Now let's take a look at how we can fix and prevent these issues from happening. How can we fix a law that hurts us but also helps us at the same time? Why we have to fix this law? It's the fact that this law helps save people, but it's also a fact this law helps the wrong people. According to the March 20, 2012 CBS Miami, after Stand Your Ground was passed in 2005, the numbers of justifiable deaths has almost tripled to an average of 35 a year, an increase of 283% from 205 to 210. According to January 2nd, 2013 NPR stated, our study finds that homicides go up 7 to 9% in the states that passed the laws, relative to states that did not pass the law over the same time period. People misuse this law all the time, and sometimes they get away with murder. This law has potential to be good since it was made to help people defend themselves, but the fact that people misuse this and kill innocent people shows that something has to change. According to July 31st, 2013 Fox News, they stated, it's good since trying to define an appropriate retreat adds confusion. Prosecutors have sometimes abusively claimed that people who defended themselves could have retreated even farther. Fox News also stated the Stand Your Ground law drops the original requirement to retreat, but lethal force is still only justifiable when a reasonable person who would believe that an attacker intends to inflict serious bodily harm or death. The law doesn't protect anyone who provokes a confrontation. How we can change this law and make it much more stable? We can update or change this law. The process to do so isn't without a reason and could work. There are a couple of ways to do so, but subsequent legislation seems like the best way to go. Subsequent legislation repeals the entire law and replaces it with a new version of the law. Doing so would enable us to maintain the law's true intention, but would also enable us to create a more just version of it. The Stand Your Ground law was created in 2005 and it's 2015, so I'm pretty sure a decade should be long enough to construct a fair law. While we discuss the problems, causes, and the solutions behind the Stand Your Ground law, we discovered the problems facing the Stand Your Ground law, we explored some of the reasons for these actions, and also discovered how to change this law for the greater good. The story of Jordan Davis is a tragic tale, but it's also another reason why we should change this law. This law isn't bad. It was made with the intention to protect and to prevent actions of violence. The fact of the matter is that there is still hope, but only if we choose to use the past to alter the future.